Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Next Level Real Talk Podcast, where we have conversations on the journey of personal transformation and the pursuit of lasting peace and happiness with Sheldon and David. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Next Level Real Talk Podcast with Sheldon and David. So, this is our introductory episode. We thought it would be a good idea to just explain a little bit about who we are and why we're here and what we're doing. Um, as a way of saying hi to whoever might be out there listening or watching this podcast. Um, yeah, David, I don't know if you wanted to start. I'm going to throw you under the bus.
Well, how about you? You talked about one time just introduce how we met and a little bit of background on that.
Sure. So, David and you and I met back in high school, freshman year of high school. And we graduated in 1982. So it's been a minute
Hmm.
and been, best buddies ever since, basically, right?
Yep.
We have both obviously had a significant amount of life experiences and both been through different places in our lives. Some of them were pretty intense and fairly dark, right? We both had those sort of dark night of the soul
Yep.
experiences. We've kept in touch. We actually, I think, even sort of got closer through some of those as we were kind
Yeah.
of struggling through our life's journeys, right?
Yep.
Kept in touch. And as we moved through those experiences together as friends, um, we found that we got to places where we were actually pretty happy and even happier and thriving more than before, and decided that that might be something worth sharing with other people. And so that's kind of where the whole idea of this podcast was
Yep.
born. Was, you know what, these kind of conversations, these kind of experiences, these are real. This is real talk, which is where the title of the podcast came from, right? But we wanted to talk a little more deeply than sometimes people do, which is where the whole next level came from. This idea that let's have some real conversations that people have and need to have, because especially
Hmm.
for
Yep.
guys, I think it's, not just guys, but a lot of us don't have those meaningful conversations that we need to have to build deeper connections with our communities, right? With sometimes even with our
Exactly.
friends. You have those beer drinking buddies that you go out and you hang out with and you're shooting shit and talking football and whatever, and that's it. And it never really goes. Sometimes it does, but oftentimes it doesn't. And so
Yeah.
that was part of the idea for this podcast, was a place where we could go a little deeper,
Yep.
talking about stuff that matters. And hopefully in a way that could be inspiring and helpful to other people, right? That they might actually say, "Hey, that's a
Exactly.
cool idea. That's a nice thought, and maybe that's something I can incorporate in my life, and it might help me in my
Hmm.
relationships with my spouse or my boyfriend, girlfriend, my kids, whoever that is," kind of thing. Um, and improving relationships, and then ultimately, hey, when we're better, when we're happier and more at peace in our own self, then we're um, better partners with people, better
Yep.
friends, better members of our community, and maybe that can even bridge and heal some of the divides that we're seeing in our country ultimately, right?
Exactly.
So uh,
Okay.
that's where the whole thing was born.
Yep. Let me tell you about myself. I'm David Smithers. My nickname is Smitty. A lot of people know me by Smitty. Um, Born and raised Tempe, Arizona. Oh, about me. Been through some life, a lot of ups, a lot of downs, and went through a dark, real dark part of my life. And Sheldon was there, and we talked a lot through stuff, and I learned a lot through different ways to cope with it and meditate through it and just drive through it. And a lot of people told me to not do certain things, which wasn't harmful stuff. Is like just talking to other people. They said, don't do that, and don't go this direction, which I actually disagreed with them and may had those conversations. And those conversations allowed me to have the support, the help, and
Isn't
the
that weird?
guidance.
Isn't that
Yeah.
weird how sometimes people will say, "Oh, you don't need to talk about that stuff," or "Don't do that.
Hmm.
That'll be a problem."
Um, I said, don't talk to your principal. Well, I talked to him and he was my biggest support. Kids in my classroom, they were my biggest
Don't share
support.
with them.
Yeah. It's like they needed to know what I was going through. They saw it.
Yeah,
And guess what? If I see them to this day, they're always, hey, how you doing? Just checking in on you. I
yeah,
mean, that's long gone.
yeah,
But they have that care. So it's like if there's that stigma, like you can't say certain things, male or female, you
yeah,
can't say that. It wasn't just because I was a male; it's just because it
yep,
was stigma in society,
yep,
and um, and that. going through that, I learned a lot, and that's why when we started talking about this, and when your wife Jacqueline, thank you, Jacqueline, said this is something you guys always talk about. You should go out, and I was like, that's what I really want is people to understand there's a safe place to talk about it, and it's
Okay.
time and a place. There's always time and a place. And it's great to have these conversations because I learned by talking to people.
Yep.
And then I had a community, a wolf pack, if you want to call it that. My wolf
Mhm.
pack
Mhm.
was around me, protecting me and saying, hey, you got this. It's not going to be fun, not going to be easy,
Yeah.
but you got this.
Yeah.
I
And
had
you're
some
not alone
support.
on that journey.
Not alone. Not alone on that journey. And we think we are.
Yeah.
We all think we are.
Yeah.
Oh man, no one's ever been through this. Oh my gosh, I'm the only one. Nope.
Yeah.
And then after my situation, interesting enough, 2 friends had called and said, "Hey, this is what's going on in my life." Boom. Wound up being a support for them. One of them, when I was going through my situation, I was at her work, and it was lifeguarding stuff, and I'd be in the office bawling my eyes out, and she'd walk me through and just talk to me, not say anything really, just talking to me. And then come full circle, I was up in her office, she was crying to me, I was walking her through the process. And so it's just having that friendship,
Yeah.
and having somebody there just to talk to and
Yeah.
just bounce stuff off of. So so that's kind of like why I'm in this. That's where, and I want people to be able to come and talk and learn ways or suggest ways of how to process through and find that happiness and find that peace. And um, it's not easy at times to find that peace, and that's why going through the process, I want people to understand that there's little things that you can work on to try and make peace within yourself by looking within yourself and
Right.
then seeing where you are, what you're doing, and how to process through. And there, yeah, life's not easy still. I mean, not that situation, but a whole just regular life. And I can still have peace and happiness
Mhm.
with all the chaos
Yep.
of the world
Yep.
itself.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, and it's almost like going through these difficult, challenging experiences is what actually cause you to kind of shift how you're looking at things, to shift how you're thinking about things, to kind of
yeah,
go inside. Um, Shifts your perspective on relationships, right? The relationship you
yep,
have in your life, your relationship with yourself and how you're thinking and the thoughts that you're having through different practices like meditation and stuff like that and prayer, right? It
yep,
shifts how that happens, which ultimately shifts your relationship with your higher power, God, whatever you want to call it, right? Shifts all of those things in a way that's really profound. Um,
very. With
but
and
also
with me,
doesn't require you to change who you change like you don't have to go off and join a priesthood or something like that. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
exactly. Like for me, I always have gone to church, so that's my background. Christian, and uh, that that helped me a lot. I dwelled deeply into devotionals and Bible, and then support from church friends. So that was just God has always been my support, my person, and so that would help me. But then you had guided me into meditations and just going within myself and just being able to relax in that stress. And as a teacher, when I was going through it, it's hard to all of a sudden stop and go, okay, I got to calm down because you're in the middle of class teaching something. It's kind of hard. But in between classes, I was able to sit there and go, because that anxiety, it wasn't like I couldn't do something, it was just the anxiety came up inside and I had to get relaxed. And that 1 minute, 2 minute breathing and thinking saved me from
Yeah.
everything, allowed me to relax and get through that moment. So,
And it allows when you're quieting the mind like that, right? It opens you up in a way that allows this deep and profound sense of connection and communion, right? Right.
yep,
There's this communion with your higher power. Um, and when you're in your head, it's not possible.
no,
So
because
you got to
you,
quiet that. So,
yeah, because you're talking too much and you're not hearing anything. So
yeah.
that's that whole thing. I mean, in me, my devotions always says, sit and listen to
Yeah.
me. Sit and listen. Take
Yeah.
time in the morning to listen. Take time to eat. Whatever. Take time. It's like, oh, so sit down and go. And I will tell you, this, I almost get teary eyed thinking of it. I would sit there and not knowing how to get through something. I would just sit there and go, okay. I do my meditation. Go. I relax, and all of a sudden, boom. there it is. I'm like, whoa! It's almost shook me sometimes. I'm going
Mhm.
like, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah.
Because I was processing, fighting everything else, and not letting my brain calm down and slow down and go, this is what I want you to do. This is where I want you to go.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
I wasn't letting that
Oh,
happen.
that's
So
so beautiful, dude.
yeah. So
That's cool.
and it's a peace beyond all understanding. I'm gonna
Yeah.
tell you that. That's a Bible verse, I know, but
Yeah.
that is where I wound up to being
Yeah.
able to do this, going like, wow,
And
okay,
and
this I
that's
can do this.
that's inspiration, right? That's an inspired, or to me, that's where revelation comes. That idea of revelatory, right? You didn't think of it. You just quieted your
Mhm.
mind. All of a sudden, bam! This thing pops in your mind,
Yeah.
right? This
Hmm.
inspired thought pops in, and you're like, "Whoa!" You know, that still small voice, this quiet whisper. You can call it Holy Spirit, whatever
Yep.
you want to call it.
I
Um,
remember, I could give a quick little story real quick. Just I always love the story. I'm driving to work one day and I was in a hot mess. Just my body was not accepting anything. It was just processing what I was going through at the time. We'll talk about all that later. But um, it was at that dark time in my life, and I was having a hard time focusing. And I'm driving around. I just can't teach today. I can't teach today. There's no way I'm gonna be able to teach today. I just can't hold myself. And I'm driving. I just kind of did a little as I'm driving. No, I didn't close my eyes. A little meditation, breathing, going
yeah,
calm
yeah,
down. And I'll remember the exact point on the I-10 freeway. Do extra It was accounting, and there was an exercise. It's about a 3 or 4 day exercise where the kids have to do the spreadsheet, the whole thing, and it's a good project, and it's actually fun, but it takes them to do the work, not me to teach it. And so it was like, give them that. That gives you 3 days to calm down and get caught up. I was like,
oh,
oh, and I started crying right there in the freeway as I'm driving,
yeah,
going, whoa, I just got to stop.
yeah,
He's like, I got it.
yeah,
Just calm down,
yeah,
but we don't want to. I didn't want
yeah,
to at the time because
yeah, yeah,
I wanted to fix what was going on. So,
yeah.
so
Wow,
it was
that's
cool.
cool.
Yeah. Sorry, I got a little deep on the intro, but
No, that's beautiful,
yeah.
dude. But that's the
So,
kind of thing that can happen all the time, right?
hmm, yep,
Just things start to happen all the time as you make space for it.
yeah,
So I guess that would be part of this transformational journey that we're talking about. This journey of personal transformation that we want to share, of how you do that. Um, Personally, for me, I don't think it's denominational.
hmm,
Uh, Not that um, uh, working with Jesus, the Holy Spirit, those kinds of things are deeply personal for me as well. But I do think it's non-denominational. I don't know that these
hmm,
it's love. It's the power of the force of this intelligent force of love that comes through us as we make space for those kinds of things. That ultimately, um, that's healing. That's transformative. Uh, it creates peace, the peace that passes all understanding, right?
hmm,
And it creates this container for you to live the best version of who you are, right? And then you end up happier.
hmm,
And when you're happier, you radiate that out to the people that you're around. You become the best version of yourself, right? So then you're just happier when you're talking to everybody, right? So you end up being more efficient at work because you're thinking more clearly, right?
hmm,
Um, you become a better friend, you become a better father, you become a better, you know, husband, whatever that is. Who All your relationships, teacher,
hmm,
coworker, all those things just kind of become easier and they flow better. But you're also bringing in the best version of who you are,
yeah,
and then the universe
hmm,
sort of responds in this interesting way,
yeah,
right? And that'll be another part of your story, I think, right? Where
yeah. Down
uh,
the road, yep.
retirement, all this other stuff you're like tripping out about that you didn't have to trip out about.
Mm-mm. It's like, oh, that
That
worked out well. Yeah,
it's like, oh, that worked out better than I even ever thought I could have.
exactly.
Interesting how that works, kind of
Yep.
thing.
Hmm.
Um,
Totally.
so yeah, we kind of went into it a little right there by accident. That wasn't even planned. Um,
Hmm.
but I guess that's the idea of what this next level real talk would be, right? This is all real talk, real conversation for us. Hopefully, it's taking things a little bit deeper where we can get into some ideas, some thoughts, uh, some tools about, and this is ultimately why we decided to do this together, right?
Yep.
Um,
Exactly.
and what we're hoping to bring. Uh, Hoping that it will be something that others who are listening and watching will get something out of, and might want to become a participant in through your comments, right? And we are even thinking, and you can let us know in the comments that at some point we might want to do these things live, right?
Yep.
We might want to be able to do a live stream and create interaction.
And
We might want to create a community of people, right? We
mhm.
could have those private spaces where people um, can join us and share their thoughts and their experiences, and we can provide a supporting, loving community, a safe space, as you had said, Dave, for
Yeah.
people
and
to go ahead.
and having like what just happened, it's not scripted. None of this is scripted, and we don't want any. There'll be some idea. Hey, this is what our thing's going to be about this week, but it won't be totally scripted. We don't want that. We want
Yeah.
real talk,
Yes.
and so it's going to be conversation. So if people come in and start talking, that's what we want to hear where you're coming from, because someone may have heard what I just said, like, oh, I didn't think about that. I could do this. And later on, we'll talk about the meditation that I did that you
Yep.
kind of got me to do or something.
Yep.
And say, hey, how'd you do this? How'd you do this? How are you calming yourself down? Well, this is what we do.
Hmm.
So it's just having talks about life.
Yep.
So, and our next episode, you get to talk about yourself because I want to learn more about you. Now, I
Right.
know a lot about you, but I think they need to know about you.
Yeah.
So,
So same, similar thing, right? And all those
mhm,
dynamics and all those
yep.
uh milestones in our lives and stuff like that. And I've had a bunch of them. And
Hmm.
yes, so next episode I'll share a little bit about my journey and how, I ended up here with you. Um,
Yep.
and that'll be cool and fun.
And it won't always be just those dark sides, because we both had great pinnacles in our life that have been awesome, and I have
Oof. Right.
so many that are countless. I can't even count how many I've had, but
Right.
it's just how to process and keep that happiness going through even the dark times, because you're going to have
Right.
those valleys and you're going to have
Right.
the peaks. And so how
Yes.
do you have that happiness in both? And
Yeah. That's
so
beautiful, Dave.
that's kind of what we're doing. So
Yeah. That's beautiful. That's perfect.
awesome.
Um,
Can't
on
wait till
that
next time.
Yeah, on that we'll call it, and we'll keep them as brief as we can for now, and we'll see how they go. But in next week's episode, I'll share a little bit about my journey. All right.
Awesome.
Thanks for listening, watching. However you have absorbed this information, and we look forward to sharing with you next time.
Talk to you next week.
Take care.